Today, we're jumping straight in. You know, the idea that art isn't just what hangs on a wall, it's really about the stories, the emotions, sometimes pretty raw emotions, and the questions it makes you face. And we're about to explore the world of an artist who, well, really makes us do just that. We're stepping into the creative space of Adina Lohmuller. She's a Romanian artist, now living and working over in Montbard, France. And what makes her journey so interesting, I think, is her path into art. She doesn't have formal art studies. Instead, she openly credits her husband, Juri Lohmuller, who's a pretty well-known artist himself, for a lot of her knowledge, her development. So for this deep dive, we've got Adina's own words. We're looking at her explanations for 10 of her, frankly, incredible paintings, and her artistic statement too, our mission to uncover the insights she offers. Insights into universal human stuff and her observations on art, on society. It's all distilled from her work, which is this captivating, surrealist, symbolist oil on canvas style. So get ready. We're exploring an artist's mind, where like every single brushstroke seems to hold meaning.
And every painting is an invitation for you to think about what really matters.
It's really remarkable, isn't it? That lack of formal training sometimes it lets something else come through, maybe a more direct, sort of unfiltered expression of her inner world onto the canvas. It gives her a very distinctive voice, I think, because she's not necessarily bound by, academic rules that can sometimes shape how an artist works.
That's a great point, the distinctive voice. And it makes me wonder, with that background, how her chosen technique then amplifies it. She prefers oil on canvas, works in a very traditional way.
Mm-hmm.
She specifically says, no collage, no other contemporary techniques, just focusing on the paint, the surface. Is there something important about sticking with such a classic method for her?
Oh, absolutely. I think there is. That traditional approach, it's kind of foundational because she pairs it with such a powerful style. Surrealism and symbolism, and that combination, it lets her express these incredibly complex things. Struggle, sadness, emptiness, with real weight. Using a time-honored medium for these, often dreamlike or deeply psychological states, it creates this blend. It feels both deeply personal but also somehow universal, like a solid anchor for these very fluid internal ideas.
Okay. Let's unpack some of these journeys she takes us on, starting with one of her big themes.
Yeah.
The passage of life, especially childhood and memory. She captures this so well in a painting called The Great Passage. Here she pictures life stages as rooms of light and shadow. Childhood is the first stage. She describes it as, innocence and play, full of golden light without fear or pressure.
Right, and it's more than just describing childhood, isn't it? It feels like a deep longing. Her artistic statement actually says her characters are often searching for the lost world of childhood. And she mentions loving vintage scenes because they bring out that lost innocence and joy of life, something she feels is missing nowadays. It really speaks to that universal feeling, that yearning for a simpler time, and it shows how much those early experiences shape our later search for meaning, for comfort.
Yeah, and she goes even deeper into this childhood wonder with my symphony, my waves. This painting feels like such a tender tribute to that magical belief, remember? Holding a seashell to your ear to hear the ocean. The boy in the painting. He's like the archetype of innocence. Eyes closed, small smile. What gets me is how his imagination literally seems to open a door. Waves pour into this otherwise dim room, turning it luminous. It's almost like his inner world is becoming physically real.
You've really hit on something crucial there. It's not just a kid's dream. It's a powerful reminder of how our inner worlds, fueled by imagination, can literally change how we see reality. And we see similar powerful stuff in the comfort of a mother's tear. That one speaks to a mother's quiet pain, but also immense love, watching her daughter grow up so fast. The mother hopes her love, tears, the quiet hopes, can somehow stay with her a little longer, like a soft memory. In both paintings, Lohmuller's saying that memory, imagination, they're powerful forces, almost like alchemy. They let us access beauty, emotional truth, that's beyond just what we can see or touch. They become a kind of sanctuary, a way to hold on to things that are slipping away.
So from that golden light of childhood, Adina then takes us somewhere much heavier, the pain of separation, of longing, her painting sorrow.
Yeah.
Wow, it's such a powerful picture of that emptiness that settles in after separation. She imagined this woman, elegant but just weighed down by silent pain, feeling trapped, she says, like a fish in a jar, surrounded by light, but helpless, unable to change anything.
Huh.
What parts of this painting, for you, really hammer home that silent, trapped grief?
Well, it's how the details build up, I think, that makes it so potent. The mirror, for instance. It doesn't show her now, it shows a memory, a moment of love, maybe promise, that's gone. That reflection points to a really deep psychological state, doesn't it? Where the past feels more real than the present. And the shoes she put there, described as quiet witnesses of a love that once was. They're just sitting there, waiting, almost accusingly. It's a brilliant way to show that sorrow isn't always, loud screaming. Sometimes it's just this quiet, inescapable thing that fills up every corner of your world.
That quiet, inescapable presence, that depth carries right over into "My strongest anchor is you." This one expresses just a deep, deep ache of longing. We see a man clinging to a wall, desperate. He's convinced his loved one might still be on the other side. And the woman, she only appears in fragments, her torso, arms, her gaze, emerging from the wall like a memory stuck in time, both there and completely unreachable. What does this tell us about love, about hope, when you're facing what seems like impossible distance or loss?
I think it's exploring that irrational but unwavering hope that real love can spark in us, even if the only connection left is through longing, through memory. Lohmuller shows us really skillfully how in our emotional landscape, absence can sometimes create an even stronger connection than presence, though maybe a more painful one. The idea that a loved one could be on the other side, it's not just physical yearning, it's like a testament to how the mind holds on to connection against all odds. It creates its own reality, where love just transcends the physical stuff. It really speaks to human resilience, doesn't it? Holding on to that emotional anchor.
Yeah, it really does. Now, beyond these very internal feelings, Adina Lohmuller also turns her critical eye outwards. How does she use her art to, engage with and maybe critique where art and society are today?
Oh, she definitely doesn't hold back. Her critique is sharp, especially about modern art. Take What Happened to Us. She paints this man, sharp suit, but he has the head of a monkey. He represents, in her view, the modern person, trying to look smart, successful, but deep down, lost, unsure how to even understand today's art. And she contrasts the classical art on the left, beauty, skill, balance, with the modern works on the right. Abstract shapes, strange colors. Art that she feels is just shouting, "Look at me," prioritizing being new or different over being, meaningful.
And that monkey-headed man is leaning on Duchamp's urinal. She points to that as the moment things started to turn upside down. When art became more about provocation, maybe confusion, than beauty or truth in her eyes, what do you think the deeper implication of that shift is for us today, encountering art in this, increasingly fragmented world?
It's a really interesting question she raises, because she's not just complaining about aesthetics changing, she seems to be questioning the very purpose, the value of art. She suggests that if art becomes purely about shock value or just being provocative, it risks losing its power to connect us to shared human experiences or maybe higher ideals. It shifts from something that could elevate and unify to something that might just alienate or confuse people, and you see this visually laid out in Post-Aesthetic. She traces art's journey over centuries there. Starts with, the structured geometry of ancient Greek architecture. Artists using the golden ratio, pi, creating these incredible temples full of beauty and meaning.
Right, and that path goes through classical sculpture, then shifts towards hyperrealism. And the statue woman strides forward, kind of unmoved, right into the digital age. Her foot touches a surface with a smartphone, and Instagram likes little hearts float up. A symbol, she says, of today's dominant but maybe fleeting way of expressing artistic value. So the question for you, the listener, becomes, what's the real value we put on art when its success is so often measured by, quick digital thumbs ups instead of lasting beauty or deep insight?
Exactly. It's a pretty stark commentary, isn't it, on how our relationship with art has changed from sacred geometry to, a digital popularity contest. It encourages you to think about how platforms like Instagram, while they've democratized art in a way, maybe it's come at the cost of depth or staying power. It asks if real artistic appreciation can even thrive when it's so tied to immediate kind of surface level clicks.
And her critique definitely broadens beyond just art. It hits society itself with House in the Heavens. So, here, Lohmuller confronts a society that, as she sees it, lets its most vulnerable people starve while others have way too much. You see this poor family, their only dream, a home. But the upper floor is just a chalk sketch against the sky, a fragile hope, and the bishop stands in the doorway, seemingly unwilling to leave his comfort zone, while some hands offer a few coins, which she leaves open. Could be kind believers, could be the wealthy tossing scraps. It's quite pointed.
It absolutely is, and it connects to a darker layer in her painting Last Lullaby. While that one has hope, it also suggests our planet, the blue planet, is suffering. It's restless, never peaceful because of war, hunger, injustice. Humanity, she seems to imply, is chasing after eternity, the absolute. But forgetting the universe itself is kind of unfeeling, unforgiving. This really underlines her call to cherish the present moment, this fragile gift of life we have, before we waste it through our own neglect and division. It's a powerful reminder that society's problems aren't isolated things. They're tied to our deeper values, our whole relationship with existence.
Yet even with all these critiques, all this observation of suffering, there's still this strong thread of spirituality, a search for meaning that keeps coming up. If we circle back to the great passage, she highlights that stage of reflection. It's symbolized by a small Buddhist child asking those big questions. Why am I here? What truly matters? Yeah, that point in life where we start searching for meaning, letting go of the rush.
Exactly. And that search for meaning, despite the darker stuff, is where Last Lullaby really holds on to hope. Yes, the blue planet suffers, but she paints a creator gently trying to soothe it, like a loving, patient father with a troubled child. The message seems to be, he hasn't given up on us. This shows how Lohmuller weaves spirituality right into her bigger story of life's journey, suggesting that even when things are awful, there might be this guiding, hopeful presence, a sense of underlying cosmic care. It feels like a testament to that enduring human need for belief, for connection beyond just the material world.
It's clear she's deeply invested in these themes, and her dedication to just the craft of painting seems equally profound. She actually did a reproduction of Vermeer's The Milkmaid, not just to copy it, but as an exercise, to learn the delicate details, how to capture light. It shows her dedication to understanding real mastery. For her, it wasn't just copying, it was like a deep dive into Vermeer's mind, taking apart his technique.
It's more than just dedication, isn't it? It feels like a core philosophy for her art making. She actually says, I try to paint daily, and when I don't, I feel that my day is meaningless. That daily commitment, it's almost like a spiritual practice for her, and she has a specific focus for different subjects too. Landscapes. She's always looking for beautiful light, sunshine, shadow, an interesting palette, colors that move her emotionally, still life. She enjoys beautiful shadows, reflections of glass, the interesting nuances of objects, like high contrasted objects or flowers with lots of shine, all to create, in her words, a nice and warm atmosphere and elegant arrangement. This relentless focus on observation, on technique, it doesn't just build skill, it gives her symbolic work this tangible reality, this deep felt quality that really resonates with you.
And I think that brings us towards the end of our deep dive today. Adina Lohmuller, through her symbolic paintings, her very personal explanations, she really invites you to look beyond the surface, to see the child's imagination, a mother's quiet love, the deep pain of loss, the, well, often confusing path of art, and the struggles in our society. Her work just consistently asks us to find meaning, find beauty, find hope, even when facing some pretty big challenges.
Yeah, what she ultimately gives us is maybe a framework for seeing differently. She challenges us to spot the profound in the everyday, the spiritual in the mundane, and that enduring human spirit, even in a chaotic world.
Exactly. So as we've explored how Adina Lohmuller uses her art to grapple with what's lost, what's loved, what's changing, maybe consider for yourself, where do you still find that golden light of childhood wonder in your own life today? And how does the art you encounter, whether it's in a gallery or maybe just scrolling through your feed, how does it ask you to truly see and maybe question the world around you? Thank you for joining us on The Deep Dive. We'll be back soon with more insights.